Hi, and welcome to the Lewiston Tribune podcast. This is episode number 27. I'm Matt Baney, managing editor of the Lewiston Tribune, and today we have Will Thompson with us. Will is a Inland 360 contributor for the paper, a school teacher, and a great neighbor. Will lives in my neighborhood. How are you, Will?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here to represent the Normal Hill Mafia.
Very good.
A completely law-abiding mafia, I should add.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that goes without saying. We're here to talk about the swap, which Will helps organize. Before we do that, just a reminder that the Tribune podcast, it's available on YouTube and on the Tribune website and on all the podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. So please make sure to subscribe to us, and we have a topic every week. And yes, this week's topic is the swap. Will, tell us about the swap for someone who might not be familiar with it.
Yeah, it is a vendor show that features pop culture collectibles of all kinds. So everything from vinyl records to toys to movies, posters, Pokemon, all kinds of whatever, Lego. I mean, you name it. If it's a pop culture collectible, we're probably going to have it in some form available there.
How many years have you been doing the swap now here in the Valley?
This is the 7th one, but I did start it in 2017. So it'd be a little farther along if it weren't for the pandemic.
And it was scuttled for 1 year or two during the pandemic?
For 2, okay. Because the original venue, which was the first 5 swaps, was Riverport Brewery in Clarkston. And, things were a little tighter in Clarkston. It was just a little harder to get going that second in 2021 as well.
And it's this year. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn in Clarkston. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
And it's the first year you've had it there. And why'd you move it to that venue?
So actually, last year, I'll move back even a little farther. Last year, we moved it to the Elks. The only reason I left the brewery was because we outgrew it, and actually we outgrew it pretty early. And right about the time I was like, okay, let's look at a new venue. It was 2020, and then 2022, I was like, so how's this all gonna go? And I actually had a huge foot surgery that year too. So I was like, I have plenty on my plate. I'm not looking for a new venue this year. And last year, the Elks worked out really well, with a few things here and there that would have been nice to maybe have different in terms of some layout things, but they treated us great. It was plenty of space. And then this year, looking at, kind of some of the things from last year that we would like to have improved on, we took a glance at the Holiday Inn Event Center, and they were super excited and wanted to work with us. And also the location is great because it's much more central. Hopefully if folks are shopping at Walmart and see our banners, go, oh, well, what's that? And come take a look. Because even though, it's close to a decade that it's existed as an event, every year it never fails. There are people who go, oh, I've never heard of that. And they're people that I know personally, or people that I know have lived here in the Valley a long time. So, and I'm not complaining at all, but anything to do to get us in front of more eyes so that we're, everybody knows about Dogwood Festival. Everybody knows about the fair, and, not that we're the fair, but we might get there.
Well, and it's going to be on March 29th. Is that the right date?
Yes, sir. March 29th.
And what are the hours that it'll be open?
10 to 6.
Okay. So, there might be folks listening and watching who have not been to a swap like this. Can you kind of tell them what you would find if you ventured into it?
Sure. So when you enter on the event center side of the Holiday Inn, we'll have our little welcome table. You'll pay, you'll get stamped, you'll come in. And that first hallway there is going to be our Artist's Alley. It's our first year we've done an Artist's Alley, so it's focused exclusively on people who make what they are selling, that are selling their own creations. And that's everything. There's all kinds of stuff, I should say. We have someone who has painted D&D minis, and that's Dusty Dowdy, who also is our designer. for the swap, and he's also going to be printing T-shirts to order there. We have a couple shirts, one with the swap logo and one with an exclusive Nintendo style logo for this year. And then we're going to have other artists from the region. I really should have looked over our vendor list, but it's in that vein. The Holiday Inn is going to be offering beverages for sale, and then to the right, if you're facing down the hall when you come in, is the event center room itself, and it's not going to be partitioned off. We have the whole room, and it's going to be filled with tables of collectors just like yourself. And a few of those are going to be, there's a few local businesses who are going to be represented there as well, but a lot of the people there are simply collectors who, we have a lot of returning folks who are simply just collectors themselves, and they are clearing out space in their collection. You can only fit so many Lego modular sets on a coffee table before you want to get a new one, right? And that's exactly what it is. The environment is really, really cool. I mean, it's a great place to just meet other like-minded people, strike up a conversation, and would it be an okay spot to talk about the events too?
Oh, yes.
So one of the things I really wanted to do was give people a place to connect, because with the closure of Hastings, RIP.
This is the second week in a row Hastings has figured prominently in the podcast.
Saw it on the paper there. I could tell you just so many stories about Hastings and so many good memories. But just places like that. I mean, just places for people to gather that aren't bars or churches, with nothing against either of those, but it's just great to have other spaces. I mean, for gaming and things, there's gameplay in Clarkston, and if you want to paint and do things, there's Art Uncorked and whatnot. But this just gets everybody together at once, and in that spirit, we have a couple of events this year as well. So for anybody who's into cosplay, costuming, things like that, we have a makeup and wig tutorial with Aquasha Delusty of Moscow. She is a veteran drag queen up there, tons of experience, and a licensed cosmetologist. So she'll be down and have all of her expertise to share with people. That's at 1 p.m. and it's free to anyone who attends. And that's going to be we'll be able to direct you to where it is, but if you've been to the event center and never been to when they serve food there, it's that back room where they set up all the tables with the little sterno burners and things. The boardroom, I think, is what they call it. And that's from 1 to 2. And then later in the afternoon, at 2, we'll start setup, signups, and have practice available for our Mario Kart tournament. So we're going to have Mario Kart Wii. Entry is free. There is a prize pool, which is provided by Charlie's Retro Reality in Clarkston and Gameplay in Clarkston, and Dusty Dowdy Designs as well. And we're going to have a 12 and under bracket first, and I believe that'll start right around 3. When that's over, then we'll have 13 and up. So,
are you going to enter?
No.
You might be a little too busy.
I'm going to be very busy, and I would just get annihilated.
Right.
I don't know that Mario Kart would be the game that I'm going to put money down on, even though I wouldn't actually be putting money down.
Right. So you obviously you probably went to swap meets like this in bigger communities, other places before you started the one here, and I guess, what was the motivation to start this one here in the Valley?
I don't know if I necessarily went to like swap meet type events. I mean, I'm sure I have, right? I mean, like we've been to them, so it's kind of just in our consciousness what it's like. I have been to the San Diego Comic-Con a couple times, very long time ago, and Lewiston is I should say the Valley is such a weird market for what it can support. And I spent 12 years on the Rockin' on the River committee too. And so looking at how running a concert worked gave me an idea of, okay, here's the things that can work here in the Valley. And having been to Comic-Con, I was like, well, I can't afford to fly in celebrities and do autograph sessions, but there's plenty of people here who have stuff. And like the year or so before I started it, so I guess 2015, 2016, my wife had bought me a small record player. And years ago when I was in high school, I had actually sworn off collecting records because I was right about to graduate high school, and I started to want to buy my own record collection because I'd been playing my uncle's for years. And I said, I can't do this because I am not a casual collector. And God bless my wife for all these years that she's watched the obsession cycle go. But I got super into records, and I thought, there's really, Moscow was the closest shop, and I would go to Goodwill and I'd find something cool for 50 cents every trip. And then it was like, well, I don't know that I necessarily want this. What do I do? And I thought, well, what if I put on a show where people can come and sell and trade and whatnot? And, that was it. And the first one was called Comic Book and Record Swap. And I did that because I thought, well, I want to open up the Venn diagram a little bit to get more people in. So really it was just looking for a way to kind of thin out my shelves a bit and maybe find some more cool stuff.
And now, like you say, it kind of runs the gamut in terms of the stuff you can find at the swap. It's whatever pop culture thing people are into, they can probably find something at the event, right?
I would sure say so. I mean, you'd have to get pretty obscure before you would come up empty, I think. I mean, I'm not trying to make myself sound like I have like the deepest well for taste or whatever, but I've never walked away empty-handed, and that's even the years where I spend 70% of the day at the door. There's always something that I got to take that home.
So we're talking on Thursday, a little more than about a week and a half until the swap. And if someone wanted to get a table there and sell their own items, is there still time for that?
Absolutely. We've still got some tables available. And the best way to get a hold of us is to send an email to us. If you don't have the application link already, we have a little Google form for people to fill out where they just tell us a little bit about what they plan to sell, that kind of thing. And once we approve it, it's $65 for a table. And that includes entry for you and another person, of course, for the day. And if you would like up to, tables are 8x8. And if someone wants more than one table, we are allowing up to 3 tables at this time for people, because there are some folks who really have a lot of stuff and we like to accommodate it. So
off the top of your head, do you remember how many vendors you have at this point?
Right now, oh gosh, we've got at least 30 tables, and obviously the vendor number is a little lower just simply because some vendors have more than one table. Somewhere in the mid-20s.
Well, it's I've been to it before, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun just to kind of go and browse and everything. And do you have a favorite aspect of the swap? I guess is it you kind of hinted at this. Is it finding your next obsession each time?
Gosh, I mean, it definitely the returning people. A good friend of mine who lives up in Moscow, his name's Anthony Saya. He's a tattoo artist at Swan Family Inc. But he wasn't a tattoo artist when I met him. And that guy, I mean, he has just an incredible story that if you meet him, maybe he'd share with you. But he's just such a cool guy. And he was someone that back when I was playing music, I met because he had a podcast at the time, and he worked at KUOI and had my band come in and play. And that was how I met him. And we just stayed in touch. And we're both guys with families. And thankfully, he lives up in Colfax now. So I get to see him a little more often. But he's always there. And so I always look forward to seeing him. And then one of my best friends, my friend Tony Bonneville, lives over in Clarkston. He was at the first swap, and he's been working the door with me the last few years, and it just is always puts my mind at ease to know that he's always going to be right there. He's always just kind of a centering force when he's around. So, and those are just two of the people. I mean, there's the people that maybe this is one of the few times of the year that I get to see them, or, being a teacher, having a student from a few years ago, or even currently walk in and go, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I run this." And they go, "You do?" So you grade my homework. Yes, you should turn it in more often. It's really, that was really, it's a lot of work to put on. And this year I put together a committee to do it. I got Charlie Hall, who owns and operates Charlie's Retro Reality in Clarkston. Scott Linya, who I met he's the husband of one of my coworkers. And Dusty Dowdy, who I met at an event up in Moscow, because I needed to lighten my load. I was looking at the swap and saying, is this something I want to keep putting my time and effort into? And I was like, well, there's a lot I like about it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff I don't want to do anymore. So I need someone, I need help with social media. I need help with graphic design. And I just need kind of a good organizational person. And Charlie's our social media person, Dusty's our design person, and Scott's, he's my consigliere, right? He's my oh shoot, now I'm spacing on it. He's my Tom. If I were Michael and this was The Godfather, he would be my Tom, right?
Gotcha.
And they're all just super good at what they do, and I'm so thankful, because then it means that it just is a more enjoyable experience to put together. So yeah, I guess it really is the people. There are fun things that I have in my collection that I can definitely point to. But I bet I can point to more people than I can things.
Well, that's a nice sentiment, Will. And we've talked about it a little. You're a big pop culture guy, and you kind of go from one obsession to the next. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, I think the short answer is that I have ADHD, and you can't medicate out rotating obsessions, I guess. But yeah, I've been like this since I was a kid. There's just always, it's weird. I don't understand why I'm still so obsessed with it. There's those memes that go around that, like, when a man hits middle age, he either brews beer, smokes meat, or gets obsessed with World War II. And I did quite a bit of grilling in my 20s and 30s. Brewing beer is just cleaning things and measuring, which is not fun. And World War II is just too real. I like to escape.
Yes.
And so I think that's why I just end up being such a pop culture obsessive. And one of my earliest memories is for that kind of thing is I had these VHS tapes of Ed Sullivan clips, and I just watched them over and over and over, and it was like, oh, these people are important. They're doing something that, and of course I really enjoyed it too. How are you not going to enjoy watching the Supremes and the Beatles and the Stones and Topo Gigio and like all of these things come across the screen, and I just have kind of stayed the same way. But it feels like in adulthood, one of the obsession periods lasts about anywhere from 3 to 5 years. It's kind of the general, just the general length of an obsession.
Right. Well, and now it's pro wrestling is your big thing.
Pro wrestling, that's right.
Yes.
Kenny Omega, and he's back finally. I'm so happy. It was about a year ago that I got into pro wrestling. I was at my friend's house, and our daughters were playing, and I had planned to just drop her off and go home. But as I tend to do, I just sat down and popped open a LaCroix and just started watching, and it was, and I mean, for anyone who I mean, I hadn't watched wrestling since I was really little. I mean, I remember being, I think I was probably about 10, and it would be on like the local Fox affiliate after cartoons on Saturdays, I think. And, so I was born in 83, right? So anyone in like your age, my age bracket, we all know the major superstars, right? Hulk and Macho Man and, the Andre and Ultimate Warrior, like that whole lineup. Those guys were all gone. And I didn't know why. I was so confused. And on top of that, I couldn't watch pay-per-views. I still so distinctly remember there being a pay-per-view, where the heavyweight belt was on the line at the time. It was Yokozuna. Do you remember Yokozuna?
Yes.
Who, with the sumo wrestler,
Yeah.
which was fun. He wasn't Japanese at all. He's Polynesian, right? From the family that The Rock's part of.
Oh.
And I think I got that right. Anyway, I remember, his belt was going to be on the line Saturday night on pay-per-view. I didn't even ask my dad. Like, I knew my dad. It was like, can we spend $50 to watch this? Like, it wasn't going to happen. And nothing against my dad. I would, in his position, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? My dad and I, very opposite ends of interests, but he's very knowledgeable in his stuff. Anyway, what I didn't know, of course, was I was getting to watch the beginning of the career of, Undertaker, Goldust, and Shawn Michaels, and Bret Hart, and all those people. But I just kind of, I was like, I don't want to miss these big sections of the story. And then, here I am 30 years later, sitting at my friend's house, and it was at the end, it was the big title match, which I could talk for way too long about. But of course, there's always interference in a good wrestling match, right?
Yeah.
And so The Rock showed up on behalf of Roman Reigns, who's his cousin, and then I don't remember the exact sequence of events. The Undertaker showed up, which was amazing, of course, because they shut off every light in the place, right? And the bell hits and the light turns on and he's there. But John Cena showed up, and I was actually getting ready to go because WrestleMania is pretty long. We'd been there the whole time. I was like, oh, we got to get home. And I remember I was standing at our car waiting for my daughter to come out, but I was watching on the TV through the window. And then John Cena came out, and I was so excited. Even though I never watched when he wrestled, I think he's funny in movies, right?
Yeah.
And I ran back inside, and I was just so pumped. And then I just got on YouTube, and it just kind of went from there. And in 3 weeks, I'm going to go to my third live wrestling event in a year. So,
what do yes, I was a big wrestling fan as a younger person and haven't followed it as much these days. How is it for someone who maybe did follow it in the 80s and 90s? How is it different nowadays?
Gosh, I mean, I hesitate to even open my mouth just because there's such lifelong, diehard, really knowledgeable wrestling fans. From my limited perspective, I mean, there's a genuine women's division. and that's not just WWE. AEW has one too, and I don't really follow other promotions very closely, but there's just some incredible stuff. I mean, for my money, in terms of wrestling styles, I feel like the women's division in WWE is more diverse. A lot of people that are just so exciting to see. And I think just the level of production and pageantry has only gone up, especially on premium events. It's really just some stunning, really fun stuff. And to see it in person is just unbelievable too. I think that's probably the biggest thing. It's not just, leathery tanned, roided out guys at this point. There's definitely a much wider range of styles and body types, and I think the storytelling is probably still fairly similar to what people remember.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, Will, thank you. A reminder, the swap is on March 29th, and let's see, was there anything else we should mention that we didn't cover?
It's all ages, $5 for 6 and up at the door. And cash is preferred, but we can do PayPal and Venmo there as well. And I mean, I know it's an event that's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you know someone who still has, is always looking for that extra He-Man figure or that G.I. Joe or that record, I mean, tag them in this, send them our way, because it's a great time, and there really is nothing else like it here in the area right now. So.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thanks for joining us on the Lewiston Tribune podcast, and thank you for joining us. We'll be back again next week with another new episode, and until then, have a great day. Thank you.